Welcome back, everybody, to the Endless Party.
Hello, hello.
We're so glad you're here with us.
Yes, we are.
So this is the happiness party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to share a story real quick. This was actually about my beautiful wife here, Meg.
A story about me.
Yeah. So this was, I think, maybe a year and a half into our marriage, and somebody, I'm not going to name names, was speaking to me about my wife. And first of all, I just don't think you should ever talk about other people's spouse to them negatively. Like if you have a problem with somebody's spouse, go take it up with the spouse you have a problem.
Yeah, don't tell
adult.
Don't tell the other person, okay?
Yeah.
It's just
so
it's
anyways,
crazy.
one of the things goes on in this conversation, and then finally they were like, "She's too happy." I don't think you can be too happy. Like if you're gonna have a problem, that's a good problem to have. So I think that kind of segues directly into what we want to talk about today. And a couple things. One, I don't think there's such a thing as being too happy. If there is, I want more of that. I think that'd be a good problem.
I think so too.
You know.
This is a good segue because I'm not talking about myself. I actually want to talk about somebody else. We all know those people who are just lights, that are just happy, that just make this world a better place, who like light up a room when they walk in.
Yep.
I have this uncle, and my mom described him the
so
best
perfectly.
way. So I have this uncle. He's not a glass half full, and he's not a glass half empty. What did she say?
I'm gonna need another glass.
He's gonna need another glass. He's
that
optimistic.
This is what's so
and
cool
positive.
about him too, is like, if he has a job or doesn't have a job, you'd never know it.
He's just as happy.
He's just as happy.
We've seen him in a
at
place
the all-time low and all-time high, and he's still
just
at
as
an all-time high.
So how does he do it? Well, we have some ideas and like ways that we think you can combat like the negativity that can like negatively impact your happiness. I don't even know if that made sense.
I think so.
We have things to combat things that just to destroy your personal happiness.
Yes.
Okay, another example I want to share really quick is babies. We wake our babies up every day, and they are so stoked to see us, and it doesn't matter what day it is. Every morning we go
walk in there. They wake up about like in between 8:30 and 10. Okay, and because they are shouting.
They're not even crying. They're just like cooing.
Hey, come get me. Hey, right. At least I'd like to.
And then they're just like wiggling in their beds, like hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, and then we walk in there, and immediately they just light up.
They're like so happy to see us.
So happy to be alive. So happy that their parents came and got them.
It's honestly inspired me, and I think helped me to start my days out like more positive.
Like happy.
Yes, because I'm greeted by this little babies. Like their smiles are so pure.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I'll just share this in just this side note real quick. So I've talked about my dad before on this podcast, but my dad was a wrestling coach for like 35 years, right? And if any of you know the sport of wrestling, it's a very manly sport. Like, yes, you're in singlets and stuff, and everybody makes fun of those, but like, it's grueling. It's intense. I would say arguably one of the most intense sports in the world. And because of that, as a coach, you have to be a very intense person.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom had 7 kids. I'm number 6 of 7. And anytime my dad was getting a little too heated, my mom would go and hand him a baby. So it was either me or my little brother Malachi. And my dad would immediately just calm, right? Because babies bring this presence into life and into just a social setting that everybody calms down, that they lighten up, that they automatically are happy. I can even think about my grandfather, who was my... my grandfather, who's my father's father, right? He is the most intense guy. At least he was. He's softened up as he's gotten older. But when a baby comes around, especially if it's a grandkid, he's like, hello, baby, like so happy, right? And that's because that's what babies can do. And what Meg was saying is there are also people that are just like that. You know, whether it's a baby or a toddler or a kid or even an adult. I think we all can think of somebody that can bring that.
You're just excited to see them because you know you're going to be happier like in their presence.
You just get amped because they're just like so nice to be around.
Okay, on another tangent of babies and happiness. So with twins, you get double the highs and double the lows. The other day, we got both twins to laugh at the same time.
It was awesome.
I can't even describe the just joy that was in our home
Yes.
with these two babies just laughing.
Yeah.
It was so cool. It kind of made all like the two times of
go away.
kind of. I was like, oh my word, they're both happy. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Double the love.
It's pretty impressive, especially like they both have like blowouts and they both cry and they both get upset, right? And so you have the highs and the lows and lows, but like,
man, that was a really high high.
yeah,
We like
the highs are much higher than the lows ever are.
That's true too.
You know, and so when you have two little babies laughing at you, just these adorable creatures, there's nothing else like it. So
There you go.
yeah.
So now the question is, we're talking so much about happiness. So, like, how do you stay happy? How do you find happiness every day? Well, we're going to let you know. But the things that we're actually going to talk about are the tendencies we have to lose sight of happiness. Because I think we all know what happiness is, but I think it's more important to focus on what, like, makes us lose sight of it so that we can guard against. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows what it means to be happy.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
And everyone actually, I would argue, knows the things that bring happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about some of the things that can help, like, hinder you from that.
Hinders happiness.
The first idea that we try to avoid is the idea that more is better. So we live in this society where
Keeping up with the Joneses.
keeping up with the Joneses is a thing. And what Elijah and I are saying, like, it's not that you shouldn't aspire for more and aspire for greatness and be motivated to grow. You should. But the idea is, it's like, oh, when you say, I'll be happy when I get a house, I'll be happy, and then you get into that house and it's like, well, I'll be happier when I get into a bigger house, or it's like, oh, I'll be happy when I buy 2 cars, and it's like, oh, I'll be happy when I upgrade this car. But the thing is, because of our fast-paced world, you're never going to be satisfied with what you have if you're always looking for more.
Yeah. It's actually interesting because I just think about it with, like, even in our own life. And don't get me wrong, like Meg said, we do aspire for more. We don't want to be in an apartment forever. Why?
No.
Because we're probably going to outgrow the apartment.
Probably, yeah.
Right?
The babies get big, we've outgrown it.
Yeah. Like, there's this understanding that, like, you need to progress in life and you need to grow. And so we're not saying to not grow. We are definitely saying to grow. But Meg actually said this the other day. She's like, you know, even when we make all the money, even when we have a big nice house, even when all those things, I will never be happier than I am now. Because I'm just so happy and I love my life and I love my family and I love my kids. And so I think about that with everybody. And it's not necessarily that you're content, but you should be in this state of just pure bliss and pure happiness at all times.
I think something I've learned too is I feel like the world tells you security in life is having more, but I think security is actually learning what you can live without.
Yeah.
Like Elijah and I are in this situation where in terms of material possessions, like it's not like we have a lot going for us, but we still are so happy, and there's just this sense of security in knowing that I can be happy no matter like what my temporal state is.
Yeah.
Right? I have my husband, I have my kids, I have a roof over my head, I have enough food to eat, I have the sun outside. It's a good life.
Yeah.
And so when we move on to bigger, you know, to a bigger house or things that
Nicer cars,
things that are just like our temporal needs are elevated. Like I told Elijah, I'm like, I don't think I'll be any happier than I am now. I'm just so happy.
Yeah. Well, and I would say that happiness is a choice.
Yes.
Right? It's something that you choose on a daily basis. It's not like this arbitrary thing that people are chasing. Like, you have to choose it every day in order to be happy. It's kind of like Meg's uncle that we were just talking about. He just has this mentality that he's not a half full, half empty glass. I'm going to need another glass at all times and in all places in his life, right? And like we said at the beginning of this podcast, he chooses happiness every single day. Even if he has no job, or even if he has a really good job that makes all the money, it doesn't matter because he chooses to just be optimistic, happy, and positive.
That's so cool.
And it's not because he has more or less. He's just happy with what he has.
Yes. Okay, so the next thing, it's kind of similar to it kind of ties with the first idea of more is always better. The next one is comparison is the thief of joy. And 100%.
It is.
And 100%, I believe this. And I think, again, we live in this world where, you know, on social media and everywhere you look, there are always people who are doing really cool things, live in really big houses, you know, have all of this. And so we're always like filling our minds with like the highlights of other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that, it's really easy we start to compare.
Our lives. Oh, we don't have a big nice house.
Oh,
our family's not that close. Or, oh, we didn't go on a family vacation that nice.
Right. Or, oh, we didn't have plans this weekend, when it seems like everybody has plans. And again, comparison is going to rob you. Also, I think too, we compare ourselves to other people. Like, oh, I'm not as pretty,
wealthy, I'm not as pretty.
You know, you think all these things, and that really can hinder your happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to think, like, so there's some influencers that we actually really admired for a long time, and then they kind of started to go away from the stuff that we were really intrigued by, you know, just growth, just progress, just relationships, just everything that we strive to talk about on this podcast. They turned away from and started going more of like the, I don't know, kind of the trends and what's popular right now on social media. And because of that, it really turned us off. But I think about it, and they've even mentioned this. They're like, I'm more depressed now than I ever have been. And they have all the money, they have all the fans, all the followers. And I just think about it, and I'm like, that's because they're in this endless comparison game. That all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I have 600,000 followers, but I don't have 1 million.
Right.
But I don't have 2 million, I don't have 5 million, or whatever it is. And so they start to compare themselves, and immediately they are robbed of all the joy that they can get from just their fans that they already do have, and the great progress that they've made and the success that they've achieved so far.
Right.
You know.
So, okay, so we have this, so comparison, we shouldn't compare. So how do you not? Well, I've shared this before in a multiple podcasts, because it's something I just so firmly believe. What you do is you have this prosperity mindset. And what you say to yourself, and I've said it, it's like, there is enough prosperity and success for everybody. Mm-hmm. It is not a finite amount. There's not just a little portion of success that everybody has to fight for. There's an infinite amount of success in this world for all of us. Mm-hmm. And once you realize that, you can say, oh, their success doesn't take away from mine, because there's enough success for all of us. Their beauty doesn't take away from me, because there's enough like beauty in this world. Mm-hmm. You know, their wealth won't take away from mine, because there's enough resources and there's just enough good out there that we all can partake. And that's how you kind of combat that comparison.
I 100% agree. It's actually interesting that Meg says this. So I'm right on the edge of finishing my first book, right? And I'm getting really excited about it. I've worked really long time on this book. If I just continually compared myself to J.K. Rowling or like Augmendino or these literary, or is it literary giants, I would never ever even try to be a writer again, right? Because they have achieved such a degree of success that it's like, wow.
We don't have as many followers as the big guys. Right. And if we compared this podcast to the big dogs,
like Joe Rogan's podcast, makes like 30 million a month or something. We'd never podcast again.
Probably not. It would probably be really sad.
And so it's like, it's just, do not compare at all. And like Meg said, you just have to have this prosperity mindset and understand that success isn't a finite material, that there's enough to go around. In great abundance, I might add.
Yeah. Okay. Next principle that you need to like stay away from. This one is actually one I have been working really, really hard on this year. And I've actually seen a lot, like this has made my life so much happier. So it's this idea that you have to rid yourself of negative thoughts, resentment, and worry. So basically what you're doing is you're taking the habit of having all of this negativity in your mind and you try to replace it with positivity. It's not even that you even have to replace it with something positive, you just try to like avoid having thoughts like that. So there's 2 things from my favorite relationship expert, John Gottman, and he kind of talks about this. And Stephen Covey has some principles too. So first thing is we all know these people too. So we know the happy people, but then we also know the people who are in this crabby habit of mind where no matter what is going on, they're always looking for the negative and like choosing to focus on that and comment on what is going wrong, what is just depressing, things that are really, like not going well in this world. And the thing is, based on the world we live in, if you look for negativity and imperfection, you're gonna find it really, really quick. But on the flippity flip, if you look for positivity and goodness, you can actually find that too. I don't know why it's easier though to like stay in a crabby habit of mind. I don't know if it's because of like socially we hear it all the time.
I think that's part of it. I mean,
it's like almost easier to be negative than positive.
Yeah, I would agree.
Is it maybe
like
it's the
here,
habit?
like here it is, right? So it's like do the things that are easy to do, but easier not to do, right? It's very easy to be like, man, it's a sunny day outside, but it's easier to just not say anything.
Yes.
Right? Or for example, it's like it's easy to read a book, but it's easier not to read a book. So I would say that it's just easier to be negative because it's just complacent, it's mediocre, it's like it's the same as everybody else.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is avoid a crabby habit of mind. So when those crabby thoughts come, I think the best thing you can do to combat this is to just be aware. Be aware that they're flooding your brain, and then when they come, just move on, move forward.
That's kind of your mind. Have affirmations that actually replace it.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of little things that you can do, and me and Meg have definitely talked about small and simple things that you can do every day, and that actually carries into one of the ways that you can be happy, and it's putting first things first. Right? Things that you need to do in order to like just be your best self, whether that's exercise, whether that's daily study, whether that's doing a hobby each morning that you really, really enjoy, whatever it is, like you need to put first things first. Because the more you do that, the more your life is going to be filled with happiness.
Yes.
Because you're doing the things that make you happy.
Yeah. I was talking to Elijah actually this week, and something that is just essential for me mentally with babies, being a mom, being a wife, being, a human being, is I need to do my 30 minutes of exercise every day. And it doesn't mean it's intense every day, but I need to take that 30 minutes for myself and just work out. And yes, I like to be, yes, I like fitness and I like being fit, but I was talking to Elijah, and what I think it is it's proving to myself every day that I'm worth it, that I'm someone who deserves to be happy, deserves to be taken care of. And I think by taking that amount of time to that amount of time allows you to prove to yourself that you're worth it, and I think that brings a lot of happiness.
Absolutely. I would say anything that is important to you, like it needs to be one of those first priorities. Jordan Peterson says it in this way that's like, do what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Do the things that are really meaningful to you in your life. And for me and Meg, exercise is one of those things to take care of ourselves. Like Meg said, we like the results that exercise gets. We like to look good, we like to feel good, we like to be able to go on a hike and not be like trash for 4 days. Like small and simple things in that aspect, but we also enjoy that time where we get to grow and progress in a physical sense, Yeah. So it's making sure that you put first things first and prioritize those things, for sure.
Okay, so there's this story I want to share next. So there's a man and a wife, and the woman's car got stolen. The wife's car. Oh wait, what happened?
No, you're right.
So the wife's car got stolen, and long story short, the man was like, "Well, the car is stolen, and you can either be happy or you can be sad.
Either way, the car is stolen.
Either way, the car is stolen." And a week later, they get a new car, and it's sitting in the driveway. No, then the man was...
He was driving and he totaled it.
He totaled the car.
The brand new car.
And he was so mad about it. And the wife comes and he's like, well, the car is totaled, so you can either be happy about it or you can either be sad about it. And
either way, the car is stolen.
Either way, the car is stolen. And I think Elijah and I have tried to kind of implement this principle into our life too. We're like, well, either way, this is how it is. This is what's going on. So we can either be happy or we can be sad, because that's what we can control in this situation. And by, choosing to laugh, by picking the happiness, it's a better way to live, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of funny because since we've implemented this mentality, it's just little things every now and then. They're like, man, like the other day with breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, we're out of like spray oil and we keep forgetting it every time we go to the store, right? And for whatever reason, our eggs just stick to the pan, even if I put just pounds of oil in, it doesn't even matter. And I was so mad. I was in there for like over an hour making eggs. And like it got to the point where I was just like frustrated, and Meg was like trying not to laugh because it was just like,
I was sad it wasn't working out.
But no, she was trying not to laugh. Like, let's be honest, right? And it was comical. Now I can see the humor in it. At the time I wanted to murder somebody.
The
But,
English muffins.
Oh, so bad. Like everything about it was just bad. But my point is, the eggs are gonna stick, right? So you can either be happy about it or you can be sad about it. The eggs are just gonna stick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing I want to talk about. Negative sentiment override. So kind of back to like the negative crabby habit of mind. In our relationships, you can get to the point too where you
become so resentful to somebody, that one person in your life, either a friend or a spouse or whatever, that everything they say is just garbage.
And you literally cannot see the good in this person. You are stuck in this negative sentiment where you just hate them and you hate everything they do. No, even if it's not something
even if
big.
they actually say something positive, like, man, it's a beautiful day outside.
No, it's not. What's so great about it?
Right.
Something like that. Okay, so how do you combat that? Well, this is actually something that I think is really hard, and what you do is you have to find 5 good things about that person, and then you have to tell the person those 5 good things is the recommendation.
Personally.
So, that's another way to improve your relationships and keep them happy.
Yeah. Well, until next time, everybody, choose happiness.
Choose happiness.
Choose to be happy.
Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. Do all the good things. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share this with somebody that, I don't know, maybe just needs to learn a little bit more about happiness.
And share this with a person who is the person that is so happy. And say, hey, this podcast reminded me of you. Yeah. There you go.
All right. Thanks, guys. Till next time.
Peace.